As you learn about the narcissistic pattern, it's also wise to reflect on the much healthier alternatives. Now, below you're going to find a link to my new extensive course called Ready, Set, Connect. It addresses both the mindset and the skills involved in gratifying relationships, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. As you gain an understanding of narcissism, there's one pattern that's pervasive in their way of approaching you that's essential for you to understand. Now, to set this up, I want to ask you some basic questions. And that is, how commonly have you experienced a narcissist's efforts to put you in your place? You know what I mean? How commonly does that individual feel the need to put you down and remind you how inadequate you are? How commonly does that person feel the need to explain the superiority of their ways of thinking and doing things? How commonly does the narcissist think, I need to set you straight? and the answer is just so obvious. It's a pervasive pattern that they have. Narcissists bring a toxic competitiveness to all sorts of scenarios when it just doesn't even belong. And we can be talking about the person that you live with, or the people that you grew up with, or the people you work with, or in circumstances, social circumstances with. I mean, it can be anywhere and everywhere. It's necessary for you to understand that as narcissists engage with you, they have a pervasive need to be the victor. They have to be above you, and that need to be the victor lies in direct proportion to their inability to manage shame and guilt and inadequacy on their part. I'm going to get to that in just a bit. When you differ from a narcissist, or you have some sort of a disagreement, there are certain things that they just can't think. For example, they can't think, despite the fact that we differ, I can still accept you, or I can show understanding toward you, or I'm curious to know who you are and why you think and act differently from me. I can still be respectful. I can still learn. They don't bring that kind of thinking at all. It becomes adversarial in such a way that it's so unnecessary. Now, here's a distinction I hope you appreciate. Not only does the narcissist have to prove, at least to themselves, if not to you, in this relationship, I am the better person. Or more to the point, what they're really trying to prove is I'm not the lesser person. And that's a key thing for you to understand. In their world, as I've mentioned, there are winners, there are losers. There's correctness, there's incorrectness. There's better than, there's lesser than. They're either the victor or they're the victim. And it's important to make that distinction. The victim is their way out, because actually, if you want to be more consistent, they're the victor or they're the loser. And they don't want to be deemed that. And so rather than being the loser, they're the victim. You did this to me. And so it's a huge insight for you to realize that they dread that feeling, or that label as the loser. They dread being deemed wrong. They dread being off base. They dread coming across as ill-informed. They dread being told that they're nonsensical, because that to them, that means they're a failure. Now, I want to give you multiple examples of how this works in their way of thinking. I'm either the victor or I'm the victim. And as I run through these, I want you to think, how many times have you been exposed to this binary thinking that they bring? For example, when you engage with that narcissist, it's very important for them to convey, I know more than you know. I'm the victor. Or they might think, why are you being so disagreeable toward me? That's the victim. In their way of thinking, they think, I do lots of things right. I'm the victor. Or they can think, when something goes wrong, it's your incompetence toward me. Victim. Or in their way of thinking, they can think, my time is valuable. Victor. Or they can think, why are you wasting my time? victim. Do you see the distinction there? Or when you have disagreements with that person, they can think, I have a right to be angry. That's the victor. Or they can think, you're being unfair when you're angry toward me. That's the victim. And you can see it's a huge double standard there, isn't it? Or they can think, my opinions are so accurate. Victor. Or they can think, your opinions make me feel so stressed. Now I'm the victim. They can think, you need to answer my questions. Or they can think, why are you questioning me? That's the victim. Or they can think, I'm just trying to have a constructive conversation with you. That's the victor. Or then they can think, you're just being argumentative. Again, that's the victim. Or they can think, I'm not being manipulative. I'm just trying to explain things. And then at the same time, they can also think, you are so manipulative toward me. Victor, victim. Or they can think, you need to stay inside my timelines. I'm the victor when that happens. Or they can think, why are you constantly disrespecting my time? That's the victim again. Or they can think, you deserve punishment. Victor. Or they can think, I'll destroy you if you ever come against me. Victim. Or they can think, I like self-gratifying experiences. I deserve it. Victor. Or then when it's shoes on the other foot, they can think, you're just nothing but a selfish, me first entitled person. Victim. You see the difference? And they can take their mindset and they can apply it to so many different circumstances. Now, I'm hoping you can realize every time you see these examples of how they play the victor or victim card, they're in a tightly defensive mode. And then the question there leads us to, well, so what are they defending against with all of this irrationality that they have? Now, to understand that, it's important to know that in a person's developmental years, there's a roadmap, if you will, a game plan that we can utilize that will take a child towards healthy psychological maturity. And there are many factors that go into that. For a child to develop psychological maturity, they need to learn how to trust. They need to learn that they need to know that they can feel understood, especially by key people in their life. They need to know that the world in front of them is safe. They need to know that they can find acceptance, whether it's inside their family or tight friends or in their peer set. They need to know that that it's possible to believe in their own coping skills. They need to have a sense of emotional competence. They need to know how to find their own independence. They need to learn how to be conscientious with other individuals. They need to know how to navigate through relationship complexity. All those different patterns need to be put into play. And if you get that conglomeration of those needs and the part of that roadmap towards a well-established life, you're going to do pretty well. Now, this is why it's so important for you to understand the history of the narcissist. And maybe sometimes in your own personal life, you can look at your history and think, I didn't have all those needs established well myself. Narcissists are unable to go back and recoup some of what was not managed well and provided well in their history. Healthy individuals, even if they didn't have everything lined up perfectly, can at least in their adolescent and adult years begin thinking, I can do better, or I know there's a better way of life. What is it? I'm going to commit myself towards healthiness. Narcissists go deeper and deeper into their confusion. They go deeper and deeper into that competitive, binary, right, wrong, correct, incorrect kind of mindset, to the extent that they can think in no other kind of ways. They have no ability to manage nuance. They have no confidence in their own coping skills. There's an ineptitude that they're drawing from. And as a result, they have certain thoughts and certain notions that guide them in the way that they interact with you. For example, they're thinking, I can't let people know how much I struggle. And they're also thinking it's a blame game out there. People are judgmental naturally, and I need to come up on top of that game. And in their mind, they're also thinking, I need to look like a winner, whether I am or not. That's a different story, but at least I need to have the look and the appearance and the sound of it all. And they also think if I do make a mistake, I'd better have a good excuse. Oh, there you are. You're going to become my excuse. And then in addition, they're also thinking, if my humanity is exposed, I'm going to be humiliated. I can't let that happen. So we go back to winners, losers. That's how they think, but they reframe it, and it's like I'm the victor or I'm the victimized, one way or the other. And again, being the victim is their way of not being a loser. What I'd like to do with that narcissist, and I suspect you would too, is to sit that person down and say, hey, look, there's an alternative way of thinking other than this victor-victim kind of mindset. Why don't we say that we can pool our resources together, and we can each show one another the acceptance and the curiosity and the encouragement that would be necessary. We can learn to understand and work with one another. Hey, work with me, okay? And the narcissist can look at you, and if they were to say it honestly, it'd be like, that doesn't compute. And so they go back to victim, victor kind of mindset. And the cycle just continues on and on. Oh, well. That's where they are. That's their game. And that's part of their pathology that they've never learned how to pull out of. I'm hoping if you find yourself inside that game with them, you can think, hey, wait a minute, I see it for what it's worth. I am going to pull out of it. I don't think in terms of victor, victim. I think in terms of being responsible and being reliable and being a person of decency. That's where I'm going. And in doing so, you're going to find yourself very different from that narcissistic person. And in many cases, that's a good thing, don't you think? Now, I hope this gives you, videos like this give you some good insight about what you're dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We're going to keep more videos coming your direction. You'll notice on my channel tab, main page, there's a tab that says videos. You can go back and look at all sorts of other videos. I hope it is part of your growth and education process. I'm pleased that you allow me to be on your journey with you. If you have a need for therapy, and I know many times when you're trying to deal with this, that would be a very good thing. I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. This is a whole team of licensed professional therapists. You go through the link and you'll answer a few questions, and you get to select a therapist that can work with you. It can be so helpful for someone to say, I want to break this down with you, and I want to see if we can understand who you are and what you're dealing with so that you can be your best version of yourself. Please get the assistance you need. Invest in yourself there. In addition, in my retirement from my counseling practice, I put together multiple courses. These are online classes. You can use them, through them at your pace. Use them with anyone you want. The courses have each course has at least 25 teaching videos, along with handouts and guided questions. We have anger games, which is all about staying out of their manipulations in that regard. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, ready, set, connect. There's descriptions, there are links and descriptions of those below the video here. In addition, on my website, we have access to my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations, quite different from the courses, along with access to my podcast, many articles, let's say a lot, and my books, so lots of resources. Narcissists want to boil down their relations with you in the victor or victim mindset. And it's so crazy to think that they're so binary, but that's where they are. It's essential for you to see that and understand what that prompts them to do, so that the more you have an understanding and insight for them, you can make your better alternative plans elsewhere. In doing so, I hope that you can dedicate yourself to being steady and to be fair-minded. And ultimately, I'm hoping that you can be a person of dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we do here on Team Healthy, which then helps you to become a person of peace.